Shine, I'ma shine. I'm not one for wasting time. I'ma make that shit that gon' go have you wait and stand in line. Shine, you gon' shine. Don't you go and waste your time. I know you feeling down, but I know what you got deep inside. Shine, I'ma shine. Shine, I'ma shine. Shine, you gon' shine. Shine, I'ma shine. I'm not one for wasting time.
All right, we're back. So sorry about the technical difficulties, but shout out to the production team to making it happen.
Shout out to them. Once again, my name's Dr. T, Doctor of Physical Therapy, licensed physical therapist. This is my boy Timo.
All right. We'll kind of speed it along. We were going to do a quick recap of last week's show. I know you guys touched up a little bit on diabetes.
Yeah, we did. We changed a little side thing, and then you get a little wire in there that's like the blood monitor, and then they have like the thing that goes into the leg, and it has the fat, and that's how the insulin goes, and they do we talked about short acting, long acting, blah blah.
Interesting. Yeah. I definitely
Rewatch that episode if you want to learn about diabetes. A lot of new stuff, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I think I don't personally have any clients with diabetes, but actually I do. I have one client, and one thing that we were kind of trying to figure out if there was I think I asked you this question too, is if there was a protein powder for diabetics.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
We couldn't figure out exactly, but I remember Sarah saying that it's probably better to go carb-wise on the protein shake on that one, so you stay away from the sugar. So it's just very interesting, especially just how the blood works, and then when you're working out certain movements, you can't do certain movements.
Yeah.
I think lying down isn't the best to do, or is it depending on what type of diabetes they have?
Depending on diabetes, it would depend more on the glucose levels and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But if you're already hypoglycemic, your blood volume's gonna be a little bit different, and a little bit lower. So if you stand up really quick, your blood pressure could change really quickly.
Got it. So
and then
not
you
too
get really
much
flushed.
fast,
Yeah.
not too fast with movements and stuff like that.
I think that would be more what you're looking
Okay,
at.
I understand.
But yeah, definitely,
Cool.
definitely something.
Definitely interesting. I think we're gonna go straight into.
Yeah, we have a special guest today.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna interview somebody. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah. So this has actually been a very close friend of mine. You've probably seen him in other shows that we've done. This is Butters, and Butters is actually, before I even was a certified personal trainer, this is probably the person that I've trained the most with. And I think it was right after the origin story of me and DJ James going to Fitness for 10, working out pretty hard. And then I think our schedule, mine and James's schedule, just didn't match up anymore. So we kind of went our own fitness journey way. But one person that kind of was like, hey, I want to lose weight. I want to do something. And at that time I was doing it, being consistent. I don't know if I was really good at what I knew in the gym, but I just knew that just being consistent and, holding myself accountable to get to the gym and do all that type of work. So he came along with me, and I think you started out at 240? 240.
Give you accountability, buddy.
Yeah. So 240. You're gonna get a camera on you, or how are we gonna do this? It's right there. Oh, you're good. Got one. Cool. Just want to make sure. Switch on over so everybody can see Joseph Butters. There it is. Awesome. Cool. So what was it that really pushed you to even hit me up and even want to go to the gym with me?
Just the way you pushed me, the way you just knew how to get me up, because you would call me hella early in the morning, at 9, hey, wake up, we gotta go.
That's true.
We gotta go. And this was early years.
But before that, what made you want to go to the gym? Was there something specific, or you just felt like I didn't like something about myself?
I just didn't feel like I wanted to be that way anymore. I didn't want to be at 240 anymore.
240.
There's no way. There's no way. I didn't like it. I felt unhealthy. It was just bad. I was smoking cigarettes. It was terrible.
Yeah, that was it.
And then when we started working out, things just got crazy over the past couple months. When we started working out again, I started to develop a change in my body, how much the weight I lost. It was cool. And then once I started seeing that change, it made me want to keep going.
What was the hardest part of starting?
The hardest part of starting?
Yeah.
Um,
Was it just the consistency? Could you?
yeah,
like basically, if I didn't hit you up,
it's making it a routine. Yeah, making it a routine. If you didn't hit me up and help me make it into a routine, I probably would have never done
still
it.
nothing.
Still nothing.
And that's the thing you would always talk about is like, first getting people into it was like, people just need accountability. You need to be able to be told to do something, and like, because a lot of people can like let themselves down. We do it all the time,
Yeah,
but like
exactly.
letting someone else down is like, I don't want
Something
that. Like it's
different,
a
yeah,
whole nother
exactly.
animal.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, no, for sure. Because even after a while, when it became a habit, then I was looking for him to be, hey, I need you in the gym because I need a spotter.
Yeah.
Or like, even when the things that he would do in the gym when he started developing strength and he was getting in there and the confidence started going, is that he would always like to go a little bit heavier than what he should have been. And that was just always something that me and him would go back and forth is that, I was like always telling him, like, it's not how much you're putting up right now, it's just the quality of the set and the rep that you're doing.
the
you know
fact
what I'm
that
saying?
you are putting up.
Exactly. So, but but he would go in there feeling a little strong that day, and he would try to go higher than I was. But I'm working at a lower weight because I would just want to do more stuff that's more corrected to like form based. But that was a way that he would push me to go heavier because I would be like, oh, he's like, I caught up to you kind of thing, like to the weight.
Right.
And then it'd be like, no, you didn't. So I would go up heavier weight. So at that point, my workouts got better because he would do those little things. It would piss me off every
so
time.
mad if I left heavyweight. But then he'd always tell me, like, you're bigger than me, so you're gonna have to lift heavier than me. So I'm just like, all right, here I am. And he's like, you're doing it wrong. No, I'm not. But I am.
So, so since both of you kind of started, I guess you kind of started your journey with him as well, right? Like, would you kind of say
pretty
that?
close, yeah.
So
yeah,
what
but
was
go ahead.
what was the hardest thing about doing that? You've already talked about, he woke me up at 9 a.m. Like to not a lot of people like 9 a.m. is not that
even
early,
that
but
late.
like
Exactly.
it's like I feel it. Not a morning person.
You were
But-
in security at that time. That's
I was
why.
working great.
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah,
working
so
night.
that- yeah,
I
so-
forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he was kind of coming in without any sleep.
No sleep,
Jeez.
bro.
Yeah, so
Going in.
I
he
feel
had
it
to,
though.
yeah.
But what was the hardest, other than literally waking up? What was the hardest thing about it? Was it like my routine's thrown off? Like I'm uncomfortable? What was the hardest thing about making it consistent and doing that?
Just to even get up and to just go, cause like, I remember at a point in time, I think like during COVID, he would hit me up to like want to go and work out and stuff like that, and like I didn't want to for the longest time. I did for the longest time, dog, like a year and a half. Dude.
So you gained all the weight, of course.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
gained
yeah.
a lot of weight
So
too.
a year and a half
We all
of
did.
that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And it was like it was crazy. Like I just didn't care. I just wanted to play video games, right?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden something just like clicked. It clicked. Something clicked because, I started to feel more confident going out with this guy, and then he just kept saying, just keep going to the gym and you'll get better, you get back to it. And then I just remember from what I was doing before, it's like I got this memory of like, wow, wait, I've done this. I can still do this.
Yeah, so
I just gotta
but
keep
from
doing
I
it.
think the best that we got from you working out with me and we going all the time, you went from 240 to the last recorded one that I remember it was 189.
Yeah, recorded like recently, right? Yeah.
Well, you didn't get anything lower than that. Well, with me, the time that you spent with me, when the last time
During
when
the COVID, right? But before that, I
No,
lost
no.
hella weight before that. The lowest I was at like 170.
but I wasn't there at that point. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how true that was from my own recording.
Yeah, you were. It was the
Either
day,
way.
the day before we went to, the day before we
Either
went
way,
to,
you
to
went
Santa
from a big
Monica.
jump. We went from a big
It
jump.
was the day before we went to Santa
240
Monica, Santa
to
Monica.
190.
It was
Do
like
you remember how long it took to get to that?
It took hella long, bro. It's
Like a year and a half,
Yeah.
year and a half,
Like,
which is
just
good.
Like real strict diet.
What's your most favorite thing about going to the gym?
Playing ball. Playing ball.
Playing ball.
Playing basketball.
So basically, more of your fitness fun comes from like playing basketball.
Playing basketball.
Do you think you lost a lot of weight playing basketball?
No, I
or
lost
was it
a lot
more
of weight lifting.
lift?
Lost a lot of weight lifting. Yeah, that's what most of the weight came off.
But you enjoy playing basketball as
Yeah,
you, if you
yeah,
had to
of
pick
course,
your
yeah.
So if you had to pick anything in the gym that you want to do most, you would just play basketball. But you wouldn't lift. If you had okay, how about we switch it up to what was your favorite thing to lift in the gym? Like if you're lifting, what's your favorite one?
Back.
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 Which workout?
When we do pull-ups.
You like pull-ups.
We do those shit.
But what is it about the back that you just...
When it starts to form, and you start to see it. Because at one point when I was working out at that point, and I was doing a great job at it, I was being consistent, like I had a night, like my back was like shaping, and it was like, that's what I wanted to look like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's tight. That's tight. Best body part.
Yeah, so both of our schedules have kind of been up and down.
Yeah, it's been bad. It's been bad. I need to get back. I need to get back to it.
Are you at the point and confident enough to where you could go by yourself?
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
I definitely could.
You think so?
Yeah, definitely could. Will I have the
That's my
will
next question.
to
Yeah,
do
are
it?
you
Or
actually
do I-
going to do it?
will I
Like,
actually
for
do it?
the
See, that's-
viewers, are we going to get the...
See, that's the thing. Like, there was at
Gonna
one
make a
point where I
commitment?
was... Yeah, I did after the Santa Monica thing. I did for like a couple months. I was doing it. I was consistent. I can do it. I can.
Could we have you back like within a month of you working out by yourself to see what kind of I mean, I'll help you out, of course,
Of course,
with
yeah,
questions.
you gotta tell me, like,
But to push you
do
to
this,
go
this, and
by
that.
yourself, could we get a commitment like
Yeah,
for a month?
We can have this like monthly updates.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd go by myself.
Yeah, because I want to see how you do by yourself. Because I mean, as a trainer, I don't want you to stick with me forever.
Yeah,
I want you to learn everything, do what you have to where you don't need me necessarily anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's no, I did my job I taught somebody how to stay healthy, stay in a routine, stay committed. I think that's more beneficial. You know what I'm saying? I think from that it would show, I mean, if they want to stay with me, of course they're going to stay with me, but I think it's more I get a more satisfaction, I guess I could say, if I know that person just spread their wings and kind of went on their own to do it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where it will show that I did a really good job.
You did though. You did because I was doing it at one point by myself.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was consistently.
That's
and
what
I
I'm
still
saying.
remember
And
the
it's still
workouts
as
that we
like
showed.
you're still my client, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I would still want you to still do that. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, oh man,
That's just having the drive at that point. Just
Alright.
having the drive to do it.
What are things that help your drive that worked in the previous that you think?
That helped my drive to go when I already saw my results.
So
After I seen the results,
the
the visual, and I can see it, it makes me want to keep going for it.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that motivates you in the gym? Is there something like just like some people?
Health wise, being healthy, like just being able to live longer.
Didn't you mention that you went to you had a doctor's visit or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I had a doctor's visit like not too long ago after I had COVID. I had to see if I was good enough to take the vaccine. So I went to the doctor and got my blood work. I was okay to take the vaccine. And my doctor was concerned because he said I was overweight. I was like way overweight, like at 230, like you need to lose weight. And you smoke cigarettes and all these things you need to stop. Like,
Especially with COVID, it's
good.
not
Yeah,
good.
it's really bad. And it kind of was like, okay, let me see if I can get back to it.
Yep, and then we started after COVID again in our usual routine that we do. We go about 5 days a week. We play basketball in the beginning, and then we do like about an hour to an hour and a half workout, which is a lot of work. That's usually a lot of people don't have that much time in the gym to do that. I think that's why your progress went really fast too, because you were dedicated to stay and stick with me.
For like 2 hours, yeah.
It's like it's a pretty long thing. A lot of people only work out for 30 minutes to an hour. You know what I'm saying?
Like Dennis works out for like an hour, right?
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, depending on what you're at and your physical, capabilities are at that moment.
Yeah.
So you were back at 240
When?
after COVID, right?
After 2:30.
Oh, 2:30. So not
2:35. It wasn't 2:30. 2:30.
Okay, so around there.
2:30.
And then you've been missing a couple, like probably a month already.
Yeah, just
What were you before this last month? You're like
190. I stayed at 190.
Oh, you went back down.
I'm still
on
at
that.
190. I'm still like 190 to 195. Right
That's
now.
good. So you changed your eating habits then. You're being well more self-conscious about maintaining, because you're basically
Yeah.
maintaining your weight. At least you're
Yeah,
not
just
gaining, right?
Not gaining, yeah. I'm not going crazy.
That's good. What do you eat now? Is it anything changed, or
I
you
mean,
kind of
like it's bullshit, but I gotta go back to eating healthier, having the right meal prep.
yeah,
like that.
meal prepping is huge. So we can get a committed. You're gonna go solo dolo to the gym and get a workout. Can we put like some Let's say about 5 pounds in a month.
5 pounds in a month?
5 pounds in a month by yourself.
Then what happens?
Huh?
What
Yo,
happens
just
if I
see
don't?
whatever you remember from my training, and see if you
Are you
can
gonna
get
send? Are
that.
you gonna send
No,
notes?
whatever you remember. I want to see it. I want to see. If not, then you just never listen to anything I said.
He said, "Can you send the notes?"
Send the
Send the
notes.
notes.
No, no.
Send the
Oh,
notes.
you know how to,
Just
but
put
you know
notes.
how to
Just
push
put
yourself.
notes.
That's
Just
what I
put
think.
notes.
I think that you don't know how to push yourself by yourself. So I want to push you and
James.
help you grow by pushing you to do it by yourself. And give me 5 pounds. 5 pounds is easy.
I can do 5 pounds.
In amount. At
Okay,
least
see
5
how
pounds.
much
If
I
you
weigh right
exceed
now.
it, I'll take you out to dinner.
No, you eat a wing, bro.
No, I'll take
No,
you out
take
to
you to
dinner.
dinner. Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, we're not eating wings on this show. Yeah, but if you see chips, look at the last episode. All right, cool. So we got 5 pounds a month, and I take you out to dinner, and we'll have a recap.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you
So
5
we'll
pounds
keep
back
the
on that
viewers up to date with
I
his
mean-
measurements.
8 Ball said without a doubt you're staying in. You're keeping your word though.
thing.
Oh, that's
So,
good. That's what
so-
we
According,
need.
according to Twitch, 8 Ball, you're good.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be good, because I would like to see you spread your wings and get up in there, get a workout. Cool. And then, well, thank you for coming in. We'll see you on Chip's episode, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, the house never loses.
The post,
Never loses.
Post wing.
Post wing. Cool. All right, we'll get back into our segment. We're gonna talk a little bit more on just injury related base,
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Before that, did you want to hit? I know you wanted to talk about triceps today.
Let's go into the injury.
Let's
I
go
think the
into
injury
that. Okay.
first, because this is very interesting, and I kind of want to get all the information I can from this one as well.
So there's been a lot of talk on the Warriors back in the NBA Finals. We're in the Bay Area. That's kind of a big deal around here. A lot of people have been asking me, especially at work too. I get a bunch of sports injury questions, and it's usually ACL or things really like that. But this is very uncommon where we had like a broken arm, a fractured arm, which is the same thing as a break and fracture, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, he had a broken arm. How is he be able to come back? I think it was like 4.5 weeks or 4 weeks or something like that.
Nuts.
May 4th to June 5th or whatever it is. So like literally 4 weeks coming back. And so what happened was he had they can't let out everything, but a fracture with kind of how he hurt it with the outstretched arm. It's called a foosh injury. F-O-O-S-H. Fall on outstretched arm. Outstretched hand.
Okay, I see what you're
So
saying.
foosh.
Yeah.
F-O-O-S-H. So what that does is when you hit the ground like that, and it buckles straight back.
Cool. Can we pause real quick? James, is that how you fractured your forearm? Is that how you fractured your forearm?
Did you fall on it?
Did you
or
fall
get
on
hit?
it, or was it
I got hit.
Oh, you
got a
to-
helmet to
helmet
it,
to
huh?
arm.
helmet
right
to
in the middle
arm?
of that bitch.
Oh, okay, got it. I thought it was the.
We'll talk about
yeah.
that in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
different,
for
all
sure.
right.
Okay, cool. We'll bring that back.
But yeah, so falling outstretched hand, they have a lot of injuries where they have that, or they have a lot of shoulder sprains. But this one specifically, so you have 2 bones in your forearm.
Okay.
You have your radius and your ulna. And the way to remember this is radius is R, thumb is T. R-S-T.
RST.
Like QR, like the alphabet.
Yeah.
Q-R-S-T. So
Nice.
radius is on the thumb side, always. So what the radius does is when you rotate it, you have a little bit of head. And so it comes around like a circle, and that's what kind of rotates on your
your joint.
humerus.
Ah.
So your big bone, your humerus bone, classic, it has the 2 like little nubs on the bottom and stuff that fit in, and the radius actually rotates on it. And your ulna, which is on the pinky side, comes all the way straight down. That's that little bone you feel right there.
Got it.
So that bone is chilling there. That's kind of, you have a little divot where your humerus goes in, okay? And so the radius, when it rotates like that, so when you rotate it open, so you go palm up, you supinate your hand,
Yep.
and you push down, they're
so
both equally straight back. And
I
so that
understand.
has contact. So when you hit the ground, the radio head came in. So that little like bone, instead of having the 2 little things on the side like Halloween bones, it actually is just kind of a circle at the end. So what happens is the big bone hit it, and then they cracked the surface of it. I'm trying to think of a good, like if you hit a plate with a hammer, like that plate
just
cracks.
cracks. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so that's
How much
basically what
just
happened
the
with
impact
that.
of how it all happened. Just
Yeah, and so the fracture, so because he came back so quickly, that means it's called what's a closed or a non-displaced fracture, which
Okay,
means if a displaced fracture, like if you break it and it moves, and so it has to be either reset internally, surgically, whatever it is. A non-displaced is just it cracks, but it stays in the same spot.
So he's probably gonna have to get. Well, actually, did he get surgery?
So he didn't. because it was a non-displaced,
exactly.
it stayed where it is. That circle was in there. It's just cracked.
Got it.
It's like if you ever
So
like
play through
set
it
something
or
down.
like try to rehab it and then possibly get surgery after the season, kind of.
Maybe if he needs it.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay,
that,
so
that'd
it's
be
still-
further.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So a lot of time they can heal on their own.
Uh-huh.
And it comes down to, it takes about 28 days total to go through what's called a inflammation, proliferation, maturation process, the healing process.
Got it.
It's about 2 days of inflammation, 48 to 72 hours, and then up to 7 days for proliferation, and then up to 21 to 28 days is maturation. So what happens? Inflammation, swelling, everyone kind of knows what goes on.
Yeah.
It gets really hot. They get histamines, prostaglandins, a bunch of other just cells, basically, that your body sends to the area to blow it up and protect it. That's what it wants to do.
Got it. So that's what it. Okay. Got
Yeah,
it.
so that's why if you like hit your arm or whatever, you get like a bump. You'll get swelling. It's your body's trying
Just
to protect the
protect it,
area and
protect
just
the
put like giant cushions, like little packing peanuts
Cool.
inside there. And then proliferation is when you start building of like collagen fibers or connective tissues or start getting like it's called a soft callus bone. When you just get calcium build up around it and it's still kind of like bendable and kind of squishy, it's still sensitive, and then you get
And
maturation.
That's going to be the starting of the rebuilding process, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of rebuilding it.
Yeah, so protection and then starts the rebuilding of that. Okay, cool.
So that's when you kind of want to strengthen a little bit, but like within control, like be aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
About 20 to 28 days is called maturation, which is when it gets a hard callus, is what it's called.
Got it.
So you get all of that calcium build up and that stuff in there, and it gets really hard, and it basically fills in and even makes like a little. It might be a little bit different shaped. That's like if you ever seen someone with a broken arm or something, or broken collarbones are really easy to see this. If they go up and to the side a little bit, that's just how it heals. That's just how your body is now.
Got it.
And so it might be a little bit like herky-jerky, like it doesn't really move the same way, like it's a little less smooth, but that's what the rehab's going to be. And so he was probably getting round the clock, 6 to 7 hours a day of rehab. You can get things from like ultrasound. They have things called like class 4 laser. Ultrasound helps like vibrate the tissue, warm it up from the inside out, helps with vascularization, which is like blood flow, things like that to the area. They have things like class 4 laser, I guarantee they were using. That does, if you remember anything from like high school biology, anything, something called ATP,
Yep.
adenosine triphosphate. So what happens is you have, and you should probably, you probably know this, that, and then you have aerobic and anaerobic, right?
Yeah.
So ATP does the anaerobic, the non-oxygenated source, and so that basically supercharges your cells to increase the healing process in the area. But it's a little aggressive, can cause some more inflammation, so it's not for everything. But I'm sure he was getting that every day. Like we use one of those in the clinic, one of the lasers. It's awesome. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he was doing that, getting a bunch of motion.
So how long, like obviously he's a professional athlete, so he gets the best treatment.
Right.
Especially for the Warriors. I'm
Right.
pretty sure they have some of the best. For a regular person to do this and go through everything, it would probably take how long?
So the thing is, a regular person isn't going through a professional basketball game. So to return to your regular life, probably a similar time frame, like 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
That's what I would say. If you had just a small non-displaced radial head fracture, I would say 4 to 6 weeks, give or take.
Cool.
You know, you're also more of a regular human. It's going to depend. Also, a 20-year-old kid's going to heal a little bit faster than a
for sure.
70-year-old lady. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So you generally give them 4 to 6 if they're kind of sub 40 or so. If they're kind of over that or into the 60, 65, you might be like, all right, like 6, and then 6 to 8, like doing things. But what are you really going to be doing that's that bad anyways?
Yeah, true.
So like a general 4 to 6 is not a bad time frame for someone with that anyways. With a non-displaced, just small fracture like that.
Cool, 46. But like that's the thing about like what we're talking about. You're about to say too is for a professional athlete to come back to full strength is different than
you literally have to be 100%.
That's nuts.
And so that's
In a month.
which is why it's still kind of wild that he's able to do it. But one, the type of player he is, he's not like shooting the whole time. But it is a shooting arm. Oh no, non-shooting arm. It was his. It was left. It was left arm. So it was a shooting arm.
Good. Yeah.
Which is a little bit tougher to kind of come in, but because you have to rotate your arm to shoot and rotate your arm to come back. So he has to have kind of the full thing.
Yeah.
So it's still tough, but it's still amazing that he came back and was able to play professional, like an NBA game in 4.5 weeks. That's still even on the lower side of what like a regular person should be doing to go back to their regular life. So that's kind of wild.
Especially when you're going through, like what was you said, 6 to 7 hours probably of.
Oh yeah, he was going through crazy rehab. I'm sure. I mean, it's not like grueling because you can't really do. You can only do so much anyways. You can over rehab and overstretch, and that's like a thing. You don't want to do that. So, I'm sure he was just getting around the clock. The hot packs that you see, or the things that they see wrapped around their arm, hot packs.
Hot packs.
So they have usually they're in I'm assuming they look kind of like similar like we do. They put them in a hydroculator, which is like they have like these clay hydroculators, just like a metal bin that keeps water warm, and so they have these like clay little cells in a bunch of like I don't know, like rectangles and stuff. So they put those into like a casing, and then they put some towels over it so it doesn't burn you. And that water is probably 140 to 150. So it's pretty warm.
But that's why, exactly.
That's why that's why there's always a bunch of towels on it, and it's just like wrapped up.
I can't remember if we were talking about this on the first episode, but it goes back to about how you're supposed to, or we were kind of taught wrong, where it's ice, heat, and then
rest ice, compression, elevation. So that's why all the professional athletes, they always got heat. Those knee things with a little brace on it. That's I'm assuming from what I think it's like a compression device, and it's got some kind of heating element to it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So they can have like coils or electric heating blanket, but like to the nth degree, and they probably cost $5,000 per thing, or something like that. But heating, always heat it up, increases blood flow. Blood is how you heal. Like once you really think about it, it makes sense, but it's kind of like, I didn't know any better.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is what it is. But there are times where you should ice. If a doctor ever tells you to ice, just do what they say.
Yeah.
Don't think you know better.
Yeah.
But heats is what everything's kind of turned into at this point.
Yeah, that's cool. And then that's the cool thing about like now that we're in 2022, that there's so much more science and things that we could look back to, and much more information that we're getting now, especially with the internet. It's how people want to, give out more information, kind of like us, what we're doing. That's the cool thing about health and wellness, that everybody's always willing to share. That's why I always say everybody's kind of right. Nobody's kind of wrong. Yeah. It's kind of very broad, you know what I'm saying? So it's cool to hear everybody's kind of point of view, just with everything, injuries and workouts and stuff like that. Everybody's different, so every workout or any way that you rehab something, it's going to be different for most people.
So everybody's different. That's why you don't have a robot doing what you do. I don't have a robot doing what I do, because there's no like linear path. Some people get better, some people get worse. That's one of the main things I tell people is, we've had like, I've been seeing it 2 weeks. We've had 4 visits. You've been good every time. Just like, don't be upset. Like, don't be surprised if you have a day where you walk in, you're like, hey, I just don't want to do nothing. Like, it hurts, whatever it is. My knee doesn't want to bend today, or my shoulder's killing me, or blah, blah. Like, you're going to have those days just because that's how the human body is.
Just rehab, just how it's trying to relearn itself.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, cool. Yeah, I guess we'll go into the next segment. I wanted to kind of touch up on something that I've been kind of like focused on the gym, just for, summertime.
Did we want to hit, before we do that, question while we're still on the injuries, or we want to save that for later?
Yeah, because we're kind of on it right now. So
because you might be able to.
Our man Slick Fargo right now came through with the question. He's asking, what's the worst sports injury you've seen in person or online?
Ooh. I kind of want to say the Dak's ankle. Dak's ankle was pretty gnarly, and it was just more impactful for me because I'm a Cowboys fan. So seeing that was tough to watch for sure. I'm trying to think of another one, but that's the first one off my top of my list.
One of the ones that was like a very apparent. There was a Seahawks injury in the Super Bowl, like the first quarter, and people kind of forgot about it. I don't remember his name, but he like flipped upside down and his like whole arm went. He had like another elbow. That and the Raheem Mostert injury were both really bad. When he broke his arm I want to say 3 years ago. The Raheem Mostert arm break was pretty gnarly, if I remember correctly.
I don't know if you guys remember seeing it, but do you remember? I was watching that game. It was Louisville. I think it was Kevin Ware's leg.
Yeah, the Kevin Ware leg
poking out through the.
They had high def zoom in, so you could see the blood vessels going through it, and it was just. That one was kind of gross. Yeah. But I do have another one. I would do the medical staff for Milpitas High School. I coached there, and so I would help out on Friday nights and kind of do a lot of medical stuff. The worst there's two really bad ones that I've seen. You've had your handful of dislocated, like fingers that are dislocated and shoulders.
Yeah,
And
looks, yeah.
those are kind of weird, but you get over the heebie-jeebies. Like after you put one finger in, you're like, all right, they're all the same.
Yeah,
it's cool.
yeah.
So it's not that bad. Shoulders too, it just like looks weird.
Pops out, yeah.
But I saw we had a guy. My brother was actually on sidelines with us that game, and it was a kickoff, and we were kicking it off, so they were returning it, and this guy just ran through, and to save the long story, a guy's foot was caught on the ground, and then our guy dove, and his helmet hit like his shin, and so he had like another knee.
Oh, wait, so did it bend this way, or?
So it went over. So like if his foot's this way, like it went that way. Like it just went the other way. So he had a knee go the other way.
Got it.
And so I didn't actually see it happen till film, but I saw the guy go, and then I'm watching the rest of the play develop and stuff, and my brother's like tapped me on the shoulder, like, hey man, you might want to go out there. I was like, no, we gotta wait for the play to go over. Like, did someone like get the wind knocked out of me? He was like, no. You gotta go. And so I'll never forget to this day. That's when I knew I was like, all right, I'm cut out. I can do this. I remember walking over there, and his leg was just bloom, and he flipped over and watched his second knee kind of funk.
Oh man!
So
was he? I mean, was he yelling, or he was just in shock?
No, he was in shock. So he didn't really feel anything. Because kid was tough as nails. Kid was an absolute animal.
Shout out
Love
to
that
tough
kid,
man. Hope you're okay now.
Yeah, and I remember I held his leg together, so that it could stop, and tried to keep him down, because if he looked up and went into it, I don't want him to go into shock and faint.
Faint, yeah. I was about to say, did anything kind of happen?
And so he just stayed back, and I remember seeing it. I looked at it, and I just held it straight. I remember looking. Luckily, we had the when I was facing up, we had like the fireman over there, and I looked up and I was like, you guys gotta. I'm like holding his leg and trying to motion with my head to get over here, but they're like 100 yards away, like on the sideline, and I'm like, oh, we gotta do something.
So I guess, does Milpitas High have even a cart or anything to kind of help?
I mean, they have
because they fired them.
No, the ambulance came out.
Okay.
So the EMTs came out, and they came onto it and held it there. They came and got an air cast. Once they got the air cast on there, they put like cardboard around it, and then they fill it up.
So air cast.
It's just it looks like a boot, and they just puff it up with air so that it just compresses it and keeps it where it needs to be. And then they picked him up, got him on the stretcher, and got him out. But I was sitting there for probably like a couple minutes.
Just holding a limp.
Yeah, holding his so it didn't drop in case, because you got a whole bunch of blood vessels, you got nerves, and you don't want them to hit
so
even
just
more
completely just
to
off.
minimize the damage. Yeah,
completely.
It's like Fargo asked if that's considered a torn ACL.
No, it's not. That is that's called a double tib fib in the business. We call that a tib fib full.
Fib.
So your tibia and fibula snap both of them.
Right.
So those are the two. That's a shin bone, and that's like your non-weight bearing bone is the outside. So you have an outside non. That's why if you hear people play they play the whole game with a broken leg or something. That's usually the fibula. It's technically non-weight bearing, so you can kind of get away with it. It just hurts like a son of a gun.
Oh, so they said bow and bow top.
Yeah, just chopped it in half. But that one, so he obviously had surgery. He had 2 rods put in and a plate, I believe. That kid was tough as nails, man. He didn't flinch. He like got up and he was like, am I okay? And I was like, just like, we're getting people, like, you're gonna need to go somewhere.
You'll be fine.
He was like, oh man, well at least it doesn't hurt, right? And I was like, I don't feel a thing, man.
If you don't feel
I don't know about you, but I don't feel a thing.
We're in this together though.
But yeah, that was probably the worst one I've seen in
I was
person.
just kind of thinking about injuries and stuff like that, and we're talking about knees and stuff. I saw something online. Backyard wrestler decided to do a front flip.
This story is not going to end good.
And so when he did the front flip, he landed on his legs, but his legs went this way. So his knees, right where his knees
he had
be,
backwards knees?
Yeah, so it's like, yeah.
Ooh.
And I was like, that's probably the worst, because it was both of them, and they said,
PCL, ACL.
Yeah, I was nuts.
No,
that's probably the worst I've ever seen.
That
I
hurts
know
me.
it's not a worse sports injury. Might be, depending on how you classify it. But we don't have footage of it or anything. But you guys remember the story? The dude was like rock climbing, and he fell in between rocks and had to cut his own arm off.
Yes, 127 Hours. There's a movie on it. Great movie, incredibly accurate.
Really?
Yes, so very accurate for like going through. That guy survives because he had to. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but there's a point where he has to chop his own arm off. Like that's the
Yeah,
whole
that's the whole
point
thing.
of the story.
Yeah.
He has to chop his own arm off. But he gets to a point where you have a big old nerve that follows right along that bone.
Man.
And so having
That's
to
the
chop
tough.
that is like the most, like, have you ever like hit your funny bone? Like imagine that, but like sawing that in half. It's painful. It's super painful.
I bet. Yeah. It's.
But
I'm not. And I think that was one thing too that I was actually going to plan to be a firefighter, and it was one day I was just talking to my mom and we were talking about this and that and all this other stuff, and I probably couldn't take just the visual, just of broken bones or blood. So that's pretty much the reason that I never really got into it, because I don't think I could take that every day.
It's
Which
tough,
is really
yeah.
tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you got to see that full on first responders to everything. You know what I'm saying? So.
I definitely have a friend who like did all the way through, like not certified and all that.
Yeah,
That's not for me, man.
that's a rookie body.
I mean, I still
Crash
get
head
like,
on car crash. Intense to see.
yeah, I definitely get like goosebumps on the back of my neck sometimes seeing some of these like post-surgical scars, the real fresh ones that come out and just like full or not ACLs, but full like knee replacements.
Yeah.
Is like here to here, and it is just gnarly coming in. Do we have
Audio.
audio? Or are we good? Okay.
Good.
But I have like patients brand new, like cut yesterday, and they just have
Just gnarly scars.
yeah, they got staples in
So
them,
I was
and
about to say,
you have to
exposed to
watch it and kind of see that. The gnarliest ones I ever had though is we had a guy who was a professional motocross guy,
Uh-huh.
or like super bike. I don't know the technical term.
Yeah.
He wasn't like motocross, like he wasn't the hard raceway, but he was like dirt stuff.
Yeah,
that would go
dude.
around.
Yeah, so that's
like
cool.
the super track or whatever it
Yeah.
is. And he fell and both of his hands were still on the handlebars and they just went. And so he had big breaks, and he had
Oh man.
he had surgical scars from like here to here on both arms and just keeping him here. And every time I'd get the heebie-jeebies just kind of looking at him like, oh my God, I have to work with this. Like I feel bad because I'm sure he's in pain, but every time I looked, I would just like
no, it's so.
yeah, I would
bad.
just get like shake. We actually had one of the assistants that worked with him like fainted.
Oh man.
Because you
Yeah.
have to have him move it, and as you're moving, you can see the skin kind of like just little by little. You see one side moves and the other side doesn't all the way. And she actually fainted, like mid treatment, fainted. It was kind of wild,
I
but
bet.
yeah.
If there was one bone that you really didn't, or I guess a body part. I'm not. Well, I'm just gonna say it. But which one would you least want to break? Either a bone or like your whole foot, even like the other guy's knee. What's one that would be like one of the longest like rehab sessions you would have to go through? You know what I'm saying? Like what's one of the worst ones you could? I guess the spine would be the one. Huh?
Yeah, spine stuff's always tricky because
Yeah.
that always takes a while.
So if we take out spine, because I figured because that's a lot of different nerves.
But we've had bone shatters are pretty tough.
Oof.
I've had a couple.
Not even a
I've
break,
had one
bone shatter.
specific that this guy was an absolute warrior. He had a like a vending machine fell on him. I don't know how. I don't remember why. I remember trying
Freak
to
accident.
trying to approach this question of this guy.
He was
and
the guy
he
trying to
shattered.
put his
So he shattered his leg, and he had the Alex Smith halo. And so I don't know
man.
if anyone's seen that. I'm sure some of you have. But Alex Smith, when he broke his leg, had they're called halos, and they have like circle rings, and they have like metal rods connecting it, and they actually have metal rods going into your leg, holding your bone in place. So that's what those do. They're connected to your bone on the inside to keep it in place. So a lot of time you have a plate in there and stuff. And so what they did was they put a rod, and they puzzle pieced as much as they could his bones to this rod, and they used
Try to let it kind of.
so they
fuse
used the
together.
things to hold the rod in place so that they could heal with it.
Ugh.
And so this guy, man, we had him for 12 to 15 months. I want to say we had him for sure for more than a year because I
Yeah,
remember
that's
going
cool.
back in, and I remember seeing him walk again in like his like special boot, and I was like, dude, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's
like
what I'm saying.
I've known this guy for like a year now,
Yeah,
like
just
completely
working hard,
obliterated, shattered. So like a bone shatter is probably the toughest thing,
Ah.
but I'd take a regular bone break over a torn ligament or muscle any day.
Really?
Yeah, because it's harder. once it heals, it calluses. It's harder. Like it's strong. Your bone is stronger.
Got it.
When you like tear a muscle and stuff, a lot of the time, it's easier for you. You can't really control the pressure you put on your bone, but you can control like you're gonna be tentative if I like go to cut this way and I tore my hamstring 2 or 3 times. I might like be even more careful with it, in which usually just like anyone who's played like a sport, if you play like thinking you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get hurt. So it's the same thing with that with like bones or ligaments and things like that. It's just a little touchy. Anyone who's had like a torn ACL or something like that, the first time you cut on it, you're like very careful, and it just like throws your whole body off. And if I got a broken bone, I like land on it. I'm like, all right, cool. Like,
okay, so it's more for you. It's like I'd rather have a bone break than.
Yeah, because I know once it's good, it's good. It's stronger once it comes back. So that's like
good to know.
That's like that's a weird misconception that people have a lot of have. They're like, oh yeah, at least I did this instead of break my bone. I'm like, well,
tell you
not
the
that
truth.
bad. Yeah, so.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. See, I learned something new today for sure.
Yeah.
I got a question. Why do old injuries ache in the cold? Also, Slick Fargo said, why does bro look like you work at O'Reilly's?
I do, bro.
O'Reilly's.
Come on, man.
People got 12 jobs.
Yeah. I'm out here grinding. But thank you for watching and noticing all the gear.
So injuries ache in the cold. It depends on what it is. Like I have a big what's called a comminuted fracture. So it's like a fracture in 3 different places and it's separated. And my talus, which is the bone underneath like your 2 leg bones that come out, and you have your 2 ankle bones, is the bone that sits in the middle. And it's like the main part of the ankle. And so if you have a bone break or something, you have just more sensation around it, and it's a little bit bigger too. And so small pressure changes, your body senses any different things very, very sensitively. So like, have you ever tried writing differently or like sitting differently or like purposely being in a different position? Throws you off instantly. Yeah. And so like a pressure change like that, a lot of times they can tell whether like storms are coming, or you might not notice it till later, but like, oh man, I'll walk around to work and I'll be like, man, my foot is aching, and I'll have a patient walk in like 5 hours later and be like, oh man, I think a storm's coming. That's like why. My foot. But it's not 100%.
I know what you're saying.
But it's like it's pretty like consistent. I can always attribute. I'm like, no, something's not. So I know that for broken bones for sure, it changes like the density of it and just the area that it takes up. But when you do have a traumatic injury, you get more sensory buildup around it, and it becomes more hypersensitive. Like I don't know if you ever sprained your shoulder, you sprained something.
Yeah.
And then
my ankle for sure.
Yeah, so like every time you take, like, oh, my ankle's like bugging me today. Like, no, you just stepped weird. Like, imagine all the little like weird, like, oh, that was weird. Like my shoulder hurt for a second, and you just forget about it. But because you're hyper aware, like if you hurt your shoulder before and you have like a weird twinge in your shoulder, you'd be like, uh-oh, like I hurt my rotator cuff like back in high school wrestling or whatever. Now it's bugging me again. You just are more aware of it, and so I think that is also attributed to it because a lot of people just get achy in general in cold weather. But there are things like specifically, I guess, osteoarthritis, like OA. If you have arthritis in anything and it's cold, bad news.
Yeah.
That's why it always takes a while to get in. If you have like parents or even if you have it and you get up in the morning and it takes a while to get going, that's like a very, very common sign of OA. So if like, oh, like my hip hurts in the morning, but once I like get around and walk on it, actually feels better. But if I go too much, then I rest and then it hurts again and blah, blah. So it's like that heating up is a good thing.
A good thing, okay.
And so stiff joints is a thing, but.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, speaking of stiff joints, I've kind of like always heard good things about glutamine helping with joint support.
Glutamine. Glucosamine? Glutamine. I don't know.
I think it's glutamine. I'm pretty sure. I
don't know too much about. I don't know too much about like vitamins or things like that.
Oh, like that. Okay, cool. Because it was even from our origin story. Mario or mine, the guy who pretty much started the inspiration of personal or just fitness in general. He was actually the one that recommended it. So I've been taking the thing. I just wanted to see if you had a couple words to say about that too, but.
I don't know too much about glutamine. I know like the omega-3 fish oils is like true. Like do that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I always fish oils for sure.
I can't remember. There was a couple
approved.
There was a couple. I can't remember it. There was like a list of 3 that we were told in school. We were like, well, we're not nutritionists, but like if people are taking these, it's fine. It was. I just know vitamin D and calcium. You need both of them because you need to be able to convert. You need the vitamin D and the calcium together to convert it into like bone and stuff.
Okay.
So don't just take one or the other. Take both of them. I can't remember. There's one other. I think it's any try. What's the word? Like multivitamin or something.
Yeah, I do a daily. So my own vitamin take is the glutamine, the omega fish oils, and then I do have my daily
multivitamin.
Multivitamin. Yeah. So just
I heard really good things about that.
Yeah, no, because if you don't miss out on anything, you get the essentials, even though it's not the purest form, whatever you might peak some of it out, but at least you're getting at least some of that percentage, because most people don't have a full diet plan going, to make sure you're getting all your vitamins and minerals and everything.
Yeah, that's what we were told in school was the omega-3, the multivitamin, one other one it might have been glutamine, but I don't remember the other one, but for sure those two, if you want to just start taking some kind of like easy vitamin,
I feel different when I don't take it, and that's the one thing I've noticed too, is that I do feel like I'm not getting my full.
You don't notice it until it's gone.
Yeah, exactly, for real, especially when I'm on it for about 3 weeks.
Now, do you guys recommend, this is from Slick Fargo, of course, do you recommend topical CBD oil on joints?
If it works for you, like,
That's
it
true.
depends. I think we've talked about it before. I'm a big believer in anything. If you think it works, it's gonna work. If you like rub it on and be like, I think this makes me feel better. There is no statistical significance. I think rubbing honey on my knee makes my knee feel better.
For sure.
Rub that honey. But I am a firm believer in at least trying CBD stuff. Getting it. I know my dad uses it for his neck, and he says it works out for him.
Yeah, that's good.
I haven't myself personally tried it out, but
Actually,
I do know
I
a bunch of people that like rub it on their joints and that love it. So I would say take a sample of it, try it, and if it does work for you, cool. And if you don't notice anything, I wouldn't spend the money on it, kind of thing. But definitely, I would sample that thing for sure.
Yeah, I do like a lot of different type of ointments and stuff like that. I mean, there's like other stuff than icy hot, so that's always good to.
Biofreeze is what we use.
Biofreeze?
Biofreeze is
Interesting.
Is good.
Okay, something new. What Biofreeze? Try that. Yeah,
Mint
but
tea.
I haven't tried any CBD. I'm surprised I haven't.
Yeah, they have the little. I know they have like the balms.
I
I think it's different from the oils, but I think it's the same concept. You're trying to get it. I do know that if you're trying to do CBD stuff quickly, sublingual is the way to go. So underneath the tongue.
Oh.
But
yeah,
I definitely have a handful of patients that swear by rubbing it on. They had like knee
That's
replacements.
cool, which is good.
And they swear by rubbing it on around, and I'm like,
there's
hey man, keep going.
So, my Latin culture of being, Mexican, we have these remedies, and one of the remedies from I was getting when I was a kid was marijuana inside rubbing alcohol, and they would keep it in there, and that was their remedy. So my mom always had a
Interesting.
bottle like that had marijuana
alcohol.
and then alcohol in it. So that was just something they did, and I was like, whatever, if it works, it works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then, like you're saying, if it works, it works.
Well, a lot of people have that, and it's kind of, I think it's a buy-in. Like a lot of, I think it's Filipinos that have the vapor rub, Vicks for everything.
Vicks for everything.
Right?
Mhm.
I know in Greek, my Big Fat Greek Wedding, Windex for everything works, and my dad personally uses Shugu for everything, but whatever. But like, so there's these remedies, and I think it's definitely ingrained, and it's a proven science that placebo works. So if you truly, truly believe something works, your body will have a positive, actual physical reaction to it.
That's
so
pretty cool.
yeah, so if you like really believe it and you think, or you've done your research and you're like, hey, I think this is gonna work, try it. Worst case, doesn't do anything. Well, make sure it's not gonna hurt you, obviously, but CBD is not gonna hurt you. Use it if you want, and if you have like the fiscal ability to, or you have the access to it for whatever reason.
That's half the battle,
for it.
especially with health and wellness. If you have enough money to even spend it for all this stuff that you can get, we're not like GP2 and.
Oh yeah, we don't have the round the clock.
$5,000 thing going on. So.
I do think eventually there's this thing called iontophoresis, which is like electrical stim pushing things into your body. Like they have negatives and positives, and they put negative, I guess ions is the only way to put it, but they put like medication that's negatively charged.
Huh.
I can't remember the names of them. There was like a mnemonic to remember it, but it doesn't really matter.
Uh-huh.
But they'll put like negatively charged medication onto a negative pad, stick it on, and it feels like a sharper stim.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having it when I was in high school for my shin splints, and it worked out. Like we had, it wasn't morphine. We put something, I don't remember what it was, but they put like a painkiller on, and it shot me up, and it worked for like the 2 hours I needed to go play the game and then come out, and I was like, all right, that worked. But I do think they're going to start doing that in CBD form to push it deeper down, if there is, because there are positive studies and there is positive research based on CBD and
how
like
it's actually
and how it
working.
affects you, and like cannabis in general in all forms
Mm-hmm.
of being like a positive influence on you. So I think they're gonna start doing that to where it's gonna be a like trans-epidermic
That's cool.
way to get it. So like through the skin, they'll get it to you somehow, some way. And I think the CBD oil is just a start of that. So long story short, do that thing.
Yeah, for real.
Do
I
that
mean,
thing.
I'm actually gonna try some. So maybe see how it feels like. I always tell people the most important thing about your body, like when you're doing anything physical and all that sort of stuff, is all your joints.
Yeah.
I mean, just even walking around, you have to make sure your joints are good. You know what I'm saying? It's everything that moves. It's all the pulley system.
It's true. Do you have any curious? I didn't ask you off air, so I don't know if this might be an end of the road. Do you have any experience with or in the training world, blood flow restriction or blood flow occlusion training? When they have like the bands that stick around you.
Yeah.
on
So
the
I
legs?
haven't personally done enough research to even go that far into it. None of my for my certification didn't even cover too much about it. So I actually don't know anybody's even used it. I've seen people use it in there, but me personally don't know enough to kind of even comment on that.
Okay. So, because we use it, I use it.
Really?
I use it in the clinic. Yeah,
Oh,
I was just
sick.
curious as from an outside.
Yeah, no,
scientific
it's not
perspective.
something. I think it's just too. I mean, for me personally, like I would.
It's
be scared.
dangerous.
Exactly. I was
It's
like, I would be
dangerous.
scared to be
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm gonna put this right on your wrist. Let's see how much we can pump up your muscles.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
that's
a lot of
little
like
scary.
checking that you need to do for stuff. So we use it in the
Oh, okay.
clinic, but it's usually to save the joints. So that's what I'm kind of getting at. That is to, it tricks your muscles into working harder with less. Like people wear the masks when they run, so it's the same thing, but not lungs.
But
So
again, yeah, you're still trying
that's
to
what it
protect
does.
the joint.
Your muscles want to work harder with less, so it feels like you're doing more.
Got it.
And so like it saves the joint because you don't have to lift 100 pounds, but your blood flow is cut off, and your muscles have to work harder with less oxygen, and so that makes them like
Interesting.
work harder.
So would you do that for like a time session, or just like you put it on for
Yes.
one set?
So you put it on for about. You don't really want to go more than 25 minutes. I try to keep it to 20 if we're close
Just on
to
the
the end of
same
workout.
on the same muscles. Like say we're doing biceps, you would.
Well, you'd put it as high up anyways.
okay.
Yeah, so you'd put it
Oh,
like up
closest to
here.
you, okay.
I use it more for legs than anything, but
Okay.
so you'd get it as high as you can basically on the leg, and try to pump it up to a point to where you have. It's called a capillary refill. So when you like press down, and let it go, and you have like how it goes flushing and it goes in.
Got
So
it.
you want that to be within like 5 to 7 seconds or something like that. While you're doing it, and as long as it's around that, it just makes it tough.
But you don't want to go past 25. So if a beginner would go start from.
Yeah, because
10,
then it makes your heart work a lot harder, and
so
it's just
they're
like
kind
it's
of-
stuck
okay,
in
so
there.
now
and
it's
then
case by case.
blood pressure, if you faint, like it's just not good.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question that actually came from Instagram.
Cool.
So this is how do you? What are things you could do to help heal a torn Achilles?
Ooh.
Surgery.
Recovery.
Surgery.
After recovery, like more in recovery.
Oh, so the thing with Achilles is because it's the tendon, and it's not like a calf, it's not a muscle. It's a little different than like I tore my hamstring to get stronger. You want to do things that affect the actual tendon strengthening, which is different. So like there's concentric and eccentric, which can kind of flow into whatever we were going to talk about anyways. But concentric is the activation of a muscle and making it shorter. Eccentric is using the muscle while it gets longer. So like for a bicep, for instance, am I in the frame?
Yeah, you're
Here.
okay, right.
So this would be concentric. My bicep is being pulled in. Eccentric would be using it, so I'm slowing it down, but it's extending. So like
C
pump
for
it up and then
close.
let it come down. That'll be
E
the
for extend.
eccentric.
Yep.
And so eccentric is much more therapeutic. I use a lot more eccentric training in mine. It's usually just helps protect the muscle. Your muscles have their own fail-safe mechanism too in the joints that if it senses too much pressure, it's called your GTO, your Golgi tendon.
Yep.
Is it organ? Okay. I was like, I'm pretty sure that was it. I know it's GTO, and it has like a fail-safe release mechanism to where if there's too much stress, that's why if you're carrying something heavy, you'll just drop it.
Yeah.
Because your body will shut it down. It doesn't always work, but it is a nice fail-safe to have, so you can have kind of those things to where if you give up on it, it's just going to
You drop
go
it to
down.
the ground. Yeah.
And so like an Achilles tendon training, you'd want to do some eccentric stuff. So like calf raises,
Slower.
you'd like, very
Just
slow and controlled.
Just kind of help build that whole tendon, like you're saying.
Yeah, so you go up and down really slow, and then you go up, and then you go down really slow, and then you can go up on two, and then switch over to one, and go down on one leg really slowly, and that'll be kind of a way to transfer, or like stepping down, while keeping your heel on the ground so that it lengthens that calf, lengthens that Achilles as you're using it.
Yeah, so you're more just kind of keeping it towards just the stretch of the muscle rather of like, oh, I need to do 15 reps of this necessarily.
Yes.
You're just kind of just really stretching it out, kind of relaxing it, and relaxing but working it out at the same time.
Yeah, you want to use the muscle to where it's getting into a stretch,
Yeah.
and you're slowly controlling it into that stretch. And so that would be kind of the more emphasis on that.
Surgery is the only way to go about.
If
healing that
you have a ruptured Achilles tendon, that thing ain't going back. It would have to. If it's like a partially torn Achilles, then you could kind of like get away with it. You just got to be real careful for a while.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, Achilles is tough too because legit like, it's just so different.
So I got something in the chat here. Is
Yep.
how can I increase my joint fluid naturally?
Do you have supplements or anything for that?
I don't have a supplementary thing, but I always just really preach flexibility. Anything that you could do to kind of help that and just kind of really working the joint around. I think that's kind of what I would do just from my experience and stuff like that. If we're talking about like joints but I don't have a supplement necessarily for it. I do highly recommend Tai Chi.
I think glucosamine is a good thing. I don't remember. Google that. Don't quote me on that. But I think glucosamine is good for the joints.
And
I think that might have been what I was thinking when you were saying
yeah.
glutamine.
So because there is two.
There might be two different things, but I think you also. I've heard of glutamine before, but I think glucosamine is the joint one.
So the one I'm taking is glutamine. L-glutamine.
Okay.
L-glutamine.
Okay.
And this is an amino acid.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, just an amino acid that kind of helps.
If we have a specific joint, that would be better. But you have like I'm assuming like knees or shoulders or things like that, kind of that main joints. Your knees have, and a lot of your joints have what's called a synovial capsule. Your hips too, and what that is, it has synovial fluid in it, and it's like a casing for your joints. You have your ligaments inside of this casing, and it kind of just surrounds it, and that's kind of what your fluid is in.
Yeah, so I just read something right now. It's just saying that both glutamine and glucosamine. So glutamine is more traditionally used for sports recovery and digestive health, while glucosamine is used for to treat joint pain and improve mobility. It'd be glucosamine. I'm taking a different one for just recovery.
Yeah.
So I need to get glucosamine as well.
Yes.
Got it.
Glucosamine
And
is a lot of what OA patients, like arthritis patients, will have glucosamine.
So that's the both of them. So
yeah.
All right, cool.
But so in order to increase that kind of synovial fluid, it's we have a saying in school that we went through: motion is lotion. So movement, but like non-stressful movement. So I try to stay away from things like running. I would always prefer like a recumbent bicycle or upright bicycle, or even like a
How do you like ellipticals?
elliptical. I was trying to find the word for it. I lost it, but yeah, ellipticals too.
Yeah.
Not pressure, and you're not loading and loading and loading and loading and loading.
Yeah.
Because that pressure and that kind of compression from it kind of irritates it sometimes.
Yeah.
And so you need cartilage to your body decides if you're using something, your body is going to try to have more of it. That's why when you lift more, you get more muscles. When you you stand more, your bones get stronger. And when you like do things, you put pressure on things, and they start to get stronger, and they form in that kind of way. So more motion kind of is like your own WD-40. Like, I need more in there. I need more help with it. So like recumbent bicycles, ellipticals, just more movement, like even walking, just try not to go hills or do anything crazy.
You don't want too intense. You want to
be on
more
soft
just
stuff. Don't like go barefoot walking on cement. Like that's, I don't care what they say. That's not really good for you. Like your body's adjusted at this point. You're too far gone if you've been wearing shoes this whole time to try to go into barefoot walking. Don't do that. But yeah, so motion is lotion.
Motion lotion. If you want
or
a
the
imitation.
NSFW move is lube. Same thing. But Yeah, movement's good.
Yeah, I think this has kind of inspired me to kind of put together a little Tai Chi kind of movement.
Tai Chi.
Yeah, I'm a
Love.
TMOH Tai Chi. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Tai Chi.
but
And, we
use
were
it-
talking about that earlier.
Yeah, so but that's the thing. I've actually used what I've kind of done in these type of Tai Chi movements. I've actually used those in my core workouts.
Yeah.
Just kind of movement in that type of same way and kind of activating that, more of that lotion in different type of parts of my muscles rather than just like the usual, static stretching or, simple core workouts where you just kind of hold your legs. I'm kind of doing more movement in different planes.
Mhm.
Exactly. So,
Absolutely.
and I felt like I even just doing regular stuff, I do feel stronger, definitely in my core
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, because I mean, I'm not a big dude. I don't lift all crazy either. But my main focus is always just being, fit to yourself and, like you're saying, like what works for you. So
Yeah.
definitely worked for me just to kind of get more motion in different planes and kind of twisting and turning more than just the up and forward and down and left. That's it.
A lot of the joint pain that I see is largely attributed to too much pressure on them, which is usually not really attributed to food or anything, which could also be an issue though. But it's more usually either hip stability or core.
Yeah.
Like you imagine like a tether ball, a tether ball pole,
Yeah.
and you're hitting the thing. Like I don't care how strong that rope is, if you got a weak pole and it's kind of shifting down, it's like that ball is going to go off in crazy directions and it's going to fall down. Like that's kind of what it is. Like every time you lift up your arm, like your body is a tetherball pole. As cheesy as that is, and as much as like core is the power of your whatever,
Yeah, it really
you
is
know.
tough.
But like yeah, so that's a big thing that we do. And I even have a guy who's huge biker. He bikes like 20 some odd miles a day, like just chilling. He's like, yeah, my knee kind of hurts sometimes when I do things. And so he had some chondromalacia, which is like a cartilage, basically, it gets like shaved down. So chondromalacia is like you're losing cartilage on the inside of your
Opposite,
kneecap. Patellofemoral syndrome is sometimes what it's called. But yeah,
Go ahead, James.
his thing was core.
So I haven't heard of these before, but maybe you have. My man Slick Fargo again. What up, Slick Fargo? Have you guys ever tried the shoes that the toes stick out like barefoot?
Ooh, I've actually always wanted those.
The runners?
So those things. I just never personally got them. Yeah, I've never worn them, so I can't. Really
They
speak too
sound
much on
cool,
them.
but like I said, it's just too like we've been walking with shoes for too long that it's tough to.
So you
to
would have
switch
to like
that.
start as a young child.
You would have to first walk with those for a bit and then get your feet used to it. Like you can adjust to it, but if you just like, nah, I'm just starting to wear finger toe shoes, like that's all you do, it's gonna be like you're gonna start having arch problems, your hips are gonna hurt, your back's gonna be off
Interesting.
because you don't have that support because you change one thing at the end, like
Yeah,
it messes everything up. Yeah.
Your alignment
So
of what's already
the
been
big
built.
issue is usually people with no more arches. So people rely on that arch support from shoes, and so when they drop down, their feet go in, and so your knees, in essence, start to go in a little bit more. So they turn, and then you get knock-kneed where your knees are kind of coming together, and then your hips got to work harder because your knees are in more because they got to work on keeping them out, and your glutes are working harder, and then your back has to hold your hips up because your glutes are now working too much for your knees.
Got it.
And so that's just the trouble with it, but that's something like almost
So
anytime you
would
get
you-
new shoes in,
if-
you got to break them in.
Yeah. So if you went to those shoes, would there be just like you would wear those only at certain times?
Like you could go hiking in those or like river walking, like things like that, but like to be your everyday like just cruisers.
Oh, okay. Got
That's
it.
tough,
So probably
man.
okay. So
That's tough.
you're gonna be doing too much readjusting to your body if you wear those every day.
Correct.
Got
You would
it,
have
got
a
it.
lot of other issues that are kind of related to, but you wouldn't really know. You'd be like, oh, my knee just started hurting.
But is
And
it
it's-
because you just changed the alignment?
Yeah,
of
you
everything?
change something. It's called further down the chain. You change something super distal and away from your body.
Uh-huh.
The proximal joints are gonna suffer. So like
Got it.
your
Yeah,
ankles
so-
are distal to your knees, or
Mhm.
distal to your hips. So if you mess up your ankles, your knees are gonna have issues. Your hips are gonna have issues. That's why a lot of people knee replacements and stuff. They start having back issues, or they start having hip issues,
Just-
or they
it's
start
just
having
the
these other
chain
things
just
that
keeps
pop up
going, yeah.
because of either compensation or because 90% of the time it's compensation, but everything's kind of thrown off a little bit.
I was actually kind of thinking right now too. Do you think it would? It's well, I don't know. Just asking a question. Do you think it's super beneficial to get massages more often? or is it just better to stretch and do all that?
So it depends. I've recently got onto like the cupping game and a big supporter
How do you
now.
feel about that?
I like it. I'm a big supporter now, but that's
Okay.
something that I wasn't very big on. And I was like, people are just doing it for show. Like that's what it is.
Just want the
I
marks.
kind of feel that way about massages right now. Especially like, what are you doing? Like if you're a desk worker, what are you getting? Are you getting your back massaged? If you're a desk worker, like that's just gonna make your back even looser, and you're gonna come even more forward. So that's why I have a tough time
Interesting.
agreeing with
Okay.
people who go out and get massages all the time, because 90% of the time it's your back, because it feels good,
Uh-huh.
because it's already stretched out, and so you want to get back and it like feels good to push on that. I'm give like, it's called STM, soft tissue massage, or
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
and I give that to patients while I'm talking with them, but I'm trying to like get them to pull back. Like, if you're going to massage because you have back pain because it's your desk all day, and it's going to help loosen up your back pain is just going to either stay the same or get worse, because you're going to keep going, because your problem is this.
Uh-huh.
If I sit like this all day, I need to go to a massage on my back. If you loosen up your back that's already super stretched, you're just going to keep
You're
going
just
forward.
overstretching it even
It's
more.
just going to
Got
keep
it.
going. And so that's my issue with like going to get massages all the time. But I mean, if you go there because you like golf all the time and your back is tired, or it's sore, or you focus on your chest or whatever, or if there's other reasons, I can't say all the massages are wrong, but like a lot of the time it's
Depending on what you're going for necessarily. There's still that idea of like, why am I getting this massage?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
what's causing me to have
To
the pain
even
to get this
wanna
massage.
exactly.
And
I see
that
what
would be
you're
the ultimate, but I
Okay.
do like them. I think they're good. I
But it's
do
still
it.
something that like, oh, you have to go get a massage to feel better. Like,
Yeah, if you have to go get a massage every other week, you should probably
change
figure out
something
why
up.
you need to
Yeah,
go get.
yeah,
You need to
exactly.
go
Yeah,
figure
that's
that
not
one
a
out.
fix. It's not a fix. It's just kind of like, it feels good. kinda
Yeah.
thing. Got it. But you do support the suction cup thing.
Absolutely, I love the cupping mainly for the backs. I like using it on places that are hard to stretch, or just like, I gotta save my hands, man. I can't be sitting in here digging my knuckles into you the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, it's tough, and so getting something like that helps kind of pull the
Okay.
fluid to the front and makes it a little bit easier to work. But I usually only do it on harder to like massage
Is that
places or harder
are
to stretch
those
places.
cupping? Are they kind of cheap to do, or is it still kind of more of an expensive?
So
type
you
of
can
thing?
get your own cups,
Oh, really?
but I don't like telling people to go do that because a lot of people don't know what to do.
wrong, or-
Yeah, and so a lot of the ones-
until you're like a expert in getting it.
Yeah, or at least like have someone explain to you. Like if someone came to me and were like, I have my own cupping set, I would be like, I will teach you. That's fine.
Oh, cool.
That's
Alright.
okay. Like
Maybe I'll buy some.
especially if we're doing it
throw on
here.
the show.
yeah, I have some. I can bring
Okay,
it. We
yeah,
can actually do it one of these days.
Yeah, one of these
actually.
episodes. We're gonna do that. I'm always
Hashtag-
been curious about it. I think people too, because it's kind of something new. I think
Yeah,
that'd
I
be
do
a
it.
really good episode.
My brother like slept wrong. He had a weird kink in his neck, and
Just
I
a little-
cupped him a couple times, and it helps out. It's not the solve all problem.
But
if you have
exactly, but still,
if
one
you have
of
like a
those
strain
things.
or something that
Yeah.
needs to get worked out, and you're not like consistently having it, it's
Yeah,
fine.
cool. I'm pretty sure I will sprain something. I always play basketball, so something's always
Oh
gonna
yeah.
pop up. and I'm
Usually
like,
back's always
"Yeah,
a really
serious."
good one. There's always a lot of good show.
Yeah,
you
you do
get
back.
the cool marks, but
Cool.
yeah, I'm a proponent of cupping to an extent.
Alright.
I don't like it
But
for
still,
everything,
yes,
but
it's
it
still
works.
the idea of like, if you're consistently going to do this because something's hurting, you should probably go
Yeah.
figure out what
Fix,
that is.
fix the reason.
These are not the fix all to all your problems, but it's just kind of help you through the next week or whatever.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
To
unless
me, that's like if you had someone who went to go see you and they worked out, and then they ate McDonald's every day.
man,
Like they come back to you and it's like, all right, let's keep fixing this problem that I keep creating. And so that's like
but you're still eating McDonald's.
that's like what that massage is to me.
I see what you're saying.
I understand you went to go fix this, or I helped you fix this, but you're still sitting the same exact way and doing the same exact thing to get you the same exact spot. So that's why I'm like, massages are great, but like figure out why you need it first.
It's the guy goes back into motion is lotion,
Motion is lotion, move is lube.
move is lube.
That's what we gotta put on a T-shirt. Is motion.
So the move is lube is actually we had a side tangent. Can I go on a side tangent? We got any more
Yeah, let's
questions?
do it. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we had to give for the near the end of our school we had to give a presentation on, we had to do a research on a couple case studies, and so motionless lotion is what we were taught in school, and that's like what we all knew, and so there's 55 of us in class, and so we each had a group of 3 that would come up, and we had to research this and have a standpoint against it, and then we had to debate against someone else. So it taught us to go through research and how to like actually find good research, so we didn't just get like obliterated.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Um,
but this and this.
And
That's
so
cool. That's
we
pretty
had we had someone who's a foreign exchange, like English was a second language,
Uh-huh.
but she went through the program. Actually, was like top 2 in our class. She was a
Nice.
genius,
Nice.
but her English was a second language, and she wasn't like always
Being
good
able
with
to
the the sayings or the metaphors and things, and she couldn't remember what it was. She was on stage and telling everyone, and that was like her hammer home point was she needed to say this. It was, I don't remember what it was about, but I just remember sitting there, and we're in an auditorium, and there's the rest of the 50 students are sitting in the things, and we have like all our professors and adjuncts, and they love watching the debates and stuff. And she just goes, and remember, and just waits, and everyone's in the stands just staring, and she goes, move is lube. And the like silence that fell over the crowd. And the, like everyone trying not to just
It's like make her
laugh.
feel
So,
it.
oh my god. But we all knew what she meant, and so we're like, yeah,
Move his lube.
that.
Move his
Yeah.
lube.
That's a banger too.
Yeah,
It was
that's move
great.
his lube.
It was great. But anyways,
But yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
shouts to Dr. Sun.
Dr. Sun. Shout out.
Move his lube.
Move his lube. That's pretty cool though. Yeah, that's cool. I like that you guys used to do debates and stuff like that with the whole thing.
Yeah, because I mean, I could tell you peanut butter cures cancer, and try to go find something about
Peanut butter that does
this
that.
thing in this like molecule or this protein in peanut butter has been shown to have good positive results in these cancer studies. Like you could find there's a lot of things that you could find on the internet with the research. If you just searched hard enough, you could prove your own point.
Yeah, that's the thing I hate about the fitness world as well too, because that
You could prove it,
you
yeah.
could prove it.
I
And
do
that's why
this.
it's like yeah,
Look
exactly.
at me, I do this,
So that's
so
what I'm
it
saying.
works.
And nobody's right, nobody's wrong, because there's just a big gray area of like what's happening.
Yeah, find what works for you.
For real, that's huge.
Yeah, Timo, did you want to get into some tricep talk?
I think we could save it for next episode.
Okay.
Yeah, we could really, and so I could get that demonstration going as well too. I think that would be super beneficial. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so we'll save the tricep. It was a great episode. I
Thanks for the
enjoyed it.
questions. Y'all were hitting hard.
Yeah,
Love
shout
that.
out to Young Butters. We do have 5 pounds on the losing 5 pounds in a month. Buying it yourself. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, we gotta get the updates on that.
And then you get a free dinner if you make it happen. So hopefully he does it correctly, because he's just gonna like fast for a week and then
I haven't had water in 3 days.
exactly. I lost 5. Help me.
But
so yeah, we'll see how that goes for sure.
good to see you. For
good to be
Pain or
back.
Gain, I'm Dr. T.
And I'm Timo.
See you next time.
Pain or gain.